So you want to flip your classroom. Let's first begin by looking at some strategies in designing a flipped classroom. Secondly, we will look at the development of the course. And lastly, see what barriers and pitfalls you should avoid.
Why did I choose to flip my class? Well, we had a STEM grant that said, let's try to make students more successful. So I had happened to be reading an article about flipped classrooms, and I said, I think I can do that. Even though I am very uncomfortable outside the box, I thought, well, I've already been able to record my lectures using Camtasia Studio. I have a laptop that allows me to write on the screen and record it fairly easily. And I thought, I think I can do this. So I went to a workshop, read a lot of articles about, how to flip. And the one thing that I heard consistently was that you really should make your own videos, or at least a portion should be your own, because your students still want to make that connection with you. So I sat down and I said, okay, what class am I going to flip? I decided to flip our Math 0310, which is our intermediate algebra class. And the process I went through was deciding what's my class want to look like. So I thought, well, I want them to be able to follow along with me as they view my videos. So I wanted to make what we call guided notes. It would be like all the examples I would work in class with maybe some fill in the blanks and stuff. So they would have all of that manuscript in front of them while they are following along my videos, and I'm using that same manuscript basically, and I'm working out the examples and giving them hints and things like that. What else did I have to make my flipped class? Well, in math you also have to practice. So I basically wrote a textbook, meaning all the worksheets that we would pass out, all the problem sets, that's what they had. That was their book. So they really had an electronic book that was made of videos. That's with all the explanations and the examples, definitions, things like that. And then they have their workbook of all the examples. Bounded that together, sold it in the bookstore for less than $10. Then the hard part. So that took several hours of deciding what notes I wanted, typing up the worksheets, getting them all in the right format, things like that. But the long and time-consuming part is making the videos. First of all, you have to be fairly knowledgeable about the video editing software you're going to use. I use Camtasia, and I had been familiar with that for a couple of years. I love it. It's an awesome software product. They have workshops for you to go learn how to do that. Then you start making the videos. You need to make sure that those videos can be played on multi-platforms. So I wanted them to be able to on iPads, iPhones, Android devices, PCs, everything that's out there. Camtasia allows you to do that. You also don't want to make your videos very long. You want to make them about 15 minutes. And so you start making videos. And to be honest, one 15-minute video takes about 1 hour. By the time you record it, edit it, sometimes just trash it and start over, and upload it to a website. Now, having that been said, how many hours did that take me? About 200. This last year, I flipped my pre-calculus class, which I'm piloting this semester. It took me down 150 hours because I'd already kind of learned how I wanted my flipped class, didn't have to go to the workshops, things like that. Practice, you get better at it. How have the students responded? In a very positive manner. We survey them all the time. Over 90% of them just love it. They go, I like watching the videos, being able to pause, to stop, rewind. They just like it. They can take it wherever they want. How successful was it? Well, my 0310 class, the second semester I did it, I had a 100% success rate. Never had that in 30 years. Now, honestly, I only had a 71% completion rate, but everybody that stayed with me passed that class with a C or better. Why is that? Here are some reasons. I had them for 4.5 hours a week, and for those 4.5 hours a week, they were doing math problems. Whether they were doing them with friends or with me, they were doing math for 4.5 hours a week. I could also go around and talk to them individually. They got stuck on a problem, they got help immediately. I encouraged those that were just barely going to pass that final. I said, this is what you've got to do, and just played cheerleader. 100% success rate. I'm just loving it. I do miss lecturing, but you're still lecturing on videos, just that not in front of the classroom and live. So I do miss that. But the other side of it, or I should say the flip side of it, is being able to talk with your students every day, getting to know them, seeing how they think, see how they interact with the other students. It is just awesome. And so my motto has been, once you flip, you will never go back.
So what are some of the strategies involved? First of all, training. Attend a workshop or a conference. Perhaps even shadow someone that has flipped a class. Secondly, vision. What do you want your classroom to look like? Do you see your students working in groups or individuals? Can you actually move the desk in the room that you'll be teaching in? Do you see yourself giving perhaps mini lectures? What kind of technology, if any, do you need in the classroom? What types of materials? Third, support. Talk to your administrators. You will need their blessing and their money. If you don't have their support, it will be very difficult for you to be successful. Money. Lots of your time will be invested into this project. Perhaps ask, is there money for curriculum development? Apply for a grant. Could that grant be not only for your time, but also equipment? Do you need a computer, a Wacom tablet, an iPad, microphone, headset, stylus? What kind of software? All of that is expensive. Fifth is technology. Research. How do you want to deliver the pre-class material? Do you want to do videos? That's not the only option. Your students could read documents and make annotations. But whatever you choose, you have to decide where you will host these pre-class activities and materials. Will you do it through your learning management system, your website, YouTube? These are things to strategize before you just jump in and start that flipped classroom. So let's talk about developing that flipped class. First of all, pre-class activities. This is where most of your time will be spent. How are you preparing your students to come to class? Well, if you're going to do the video route, then you have to prepare those videos, whether it's through PowerPoint slides or guided notes. And then, how are you going to hold them accountable for those pre-class activities? Perhaps you need to write quizzes, write documents, entry tickets. You've got to be organized. They don't all have to be perfect, but they should be professional. Also, remember, if you're uploading and maintaining a website, you need to have easy access and also have a backup plan if the website goes down. Secondly, in class. Again, what will that classroom look like? Will they need worksheets? Then you need to design them. Group activities? Then you need to find them. Perhaps a science class may be doing a lab. Thirdly, what happens after class? I think you should be available. In a college setting, your students can come see you in office hours. But what about email, video chat, or perhaps allowing your students to post through a discussion board? These are all things that you need to think about in developing your classroom. What are some barriers and pitfalls to avoid? First of all, advertisement. You need to talk to the advisors. Let them know that your class is going to be a little bit different, fun, exciting. Help them help you promote it. Another way to let your students know that this class is going to be different is perhaps to put some type of tagline in the schedule. Thirdly, maybe have a short video describing what a flipped classroom is and then have the link to that video perhaps in the schedule of classes. Another barrier is your content. I cannot stress this enough. When designing your videos, notes, etc., do not link it to a specific textbook. Textbooks come and go, authors change examples, page numbers are all different. If you're going to teach a calculus class, calculus hasn't changed in a few hundred years. Next thing, videos. What do you want your videos to be like? First of all, short, 10 to 15 minutes. The videos should cover just one objective. Another thing, students really want to hear you. They want to be connected. You don't have to make all your own videos, but a few. And then, more importantly, teach the students how to watch your videos. Explain how to take notes along with it. It's a great learning exercise. The biggest barrier is accountability. How are you going to hold your students accountable for the pre-class activity? Well, one suggestion would be to have quizzes embedded into your videos, and there's lots of software and websites that allow you to do this. Next, some teachers have entry tickets, something that the students have to write down and show at the door before they actually can enter into the classroom. Other teachers just say, well, let me see your notes that you've taken from the video in order to enter the classroom. Perhaps you have them reading a document. You could track their annotations, maybe through Google Drive, and again, several other types of things let you do that. Maybe you could have them post on a discussion board. All of this is something that you can hold your students accountable for their homework. Another big barrier is attendance. Many students think that a flipped classroom is now just an online class. They're just wrong. So how are you going to get them to attend? Grade it. Whether it's an attendance grade or every day you're taking up something, you just grade it. And now you have to decide your new role, because if you haven't decided what you're going to be in that classroom, that could be some huge pitfalls. First of all, if you're in a flipped class, you should not be lecturing. Maybe a 5-minute lecture here or there, which I would just call a brief explanation. Don't sit. You should be on your feet. When I see a flipped classroom and the teacher's just sitting up at the front of the room, that is not a flipped classroom. Walk around. Ask your student questions. Even if they're not asking you, ask them. Ask them to explain a concept to you or to another classmate. Answer their questions. That's what the flipped class is all about. Immediate feedback. Or perhaps get another student to answer another student's questions. Maybe you're in some type of reading and they have to give opposing views. Moderate a debate. Challenge your students. Look at the students who are getting it really quick and say, what about this? See if you can step it up. All of these are what you need to think about as a teacher in your flipped classroom. One of the biggest barriers is complaints. The students complain. Their perception is that the teacher's not teaching me. Well, we are, it's just different. Many students just think they can't learn unless some teacher is at the front of the room and just lecturing away. You have to change that mindset. You've got to be that cheerleader in front of the classroom that says, look, this is just a different way. You've got to do that homework at home, listen to the lectures, take the notes, come to class, and that's where you're going to get peer-to-peer tutoring. You're going to get help. All of that is to change that student's mindset. And then probably the biggest complaint from students is that they can't hide. They no longer can sit in the back of the room and just text and kind of sleep and just say, oh, I'm here, I'll get my attendance grade, I'll get the notes from someone else. You have to let them not hide. Remember, in a flipped classroom, that teacher is never sitting down. You should talk to every student every day.
4 times a negative x is negative 4x. After negative x is 2x squared minus 4x plus 2. Is this match the original? No. Right? It doesn't match. So then I need to figure out if I want to. The way that you figure it out is negative x is 0. I'm going to multiply this function.
So then you get 2 functions. First,
So in conclusion, you just need to think about some strategies for flipping your classroom. Think about the development of all the materials that you will need for those pre-class activities, in class, and post-class. And probably most importantly, think about how you're going to avoid barriers and the pitfalls of a flipped class. Once you flip, you'll never go back.